shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Today I'm reviewing a book that is quite possibly gonna make it to my top 10 of 2014. That book is The Young Elites by Marie Lu. I was sent this by Penguin and ordered for a review, and here we go. I read Marie Lu's other trilogy. It's up here somewhere, you could probably find it. And I liked it. I was spoiled for every single book in the series, so reading it I was like, because I knew what was gonna happen, but this one I went into completely blindly. As for people who read Legend and were wondering if they should read this one, I would say it's just as good. I don't know, because my perception of Legend is kind of warped because I was spoiled on it, but it's definitely good. I think it might be better, but that might just be me. So yeah, if you liked Legend, I would recommend this one. I loved this book. It was 5 stars on Goodreads, but I'm more of a 4.75 star, somewhere in that range. The Young Elites is about a group of people called the Young Elites. It's in a world that's fantasy. It takes place in the 14th century. A disease had ravaged the land about 10 years previous. The younger generation that didn't die off from it, some of them, somehow as a side effect of having the disease, they become malformed or they get weird attributes to their appearance. They call them malfettos. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it because it seems really fancy. It's in italics and everything. I feel like that's confusing. So for example, the main character, who is Adelina, she had the disease and she was marked, and her markings are that the disease made her hair turn silver, but additionally she had to lose an eye because of the disease. These malfettos live among the regular people. However, there's some prejudice against them because they're the different ones, and there's a lot of stigma behind being marked. In this world, there are some malfettos that have actual, tangible, magical gifts / powers they can use. In a turn of events, Adelina discovers that she might not just be a normal marked malfetto, and so the Young Elites kind of take her under their wing, and it's about their adventures. The whole gist of the book is that there's an inquisitor trying to rid the world of these young elites. Okay, where to start? Might as well mention it first and foremost. I think Adelina is a beautiful, wonderful character. I loved her so much. From the beginning, getting that description of her saying, "I only have one eye." Have you ever read a book like that? No, you have not. That is the coolest thing, in my opinion, was that we had this book of this feminine warrior with one eye, and it's just such a cool character description and a very unique flaw to have. There's this one scene where she and another guy named Enzo, who's the main guy, are fighting. I had a very personal connection to her during this scene because in most books the person would fight back and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna gut you," and then they end up defeating the person, but in this case she wasn't strong enough, and so she breaks down and starts crying, and that's just pathetically, I connect to that because my first reaction would be to give up and to just cry and be weak. And so whenever this happens to her, she felt so real to me, and that may seem annoying to you, but she does get better and train and do whatever she needs to do. But that's just, I felt very connected to her. Marie Lu has excellent writing, as always. It's to the point, it's quick, it's still beautiful, but you don't get dragged down by a bunch of random, unnecessary explanations of things. It's always, this is what we need to know, this is why, and let's keep going. So that's why this makes the book so fast-paced and you just keep flying through it, is because the writing is so great. My number one issue with the book is that it's a very cliche type story. It's not new to me at all. I feel like the whole disease thing is not new. I think being mutated by that disease is not new. I think having powers and using those is not new. And though it uses these elements very cleverly, and I love the storyline, it just brought nothing new to a fantasy story. It's the best way I've seen magic been used. I liked this better than Shadow and Bone, which I felt if you liked Shadow and Bone, you would really like this. So in essence, I felt like this book had a really powerful storyline and it was really entertaining, but I felt like I had read this before. No, that's not really the way to describe it. The actual elements of the plot was nothing new to me, and I never felt like I was surprised, like, wow, that's cool, because I've read things like it before. One of my favorite things about this book is that, since they do have their magical powers, we get a really great explanation of how they utilize those and what they feel inside of them. as they're using their magic. And usually in magic books, it's just like, yeah, I have a wand, flicky flick, there it is, woo, magic! This is the only book ever where we've ever gotten an explanation of what it feels like to have the powers and how to use them. So we got really vivid explanations, and it was a very tangible explanation for how she uses those powers, because obviously in the real world we don't have magic. And so for her to create an explanation of how she does her magic, it's like, it just makes the story feel even more real. I just could not get over how great the characters in this book were. There's a lot of them. Well, not a lot of them. But there are a handful of characters that you see on a regular basis, and I loved all of them so much. I think the main guy, Enzo, is amazing. I think Raphael, which is another character that's in there a lot, was so good. Probably one of my favorites. Even the side ones that you see but don't really talk are like, characters, man. Can we take like 2 or 10 minutes to talk about this villain though? Oh my god. The villain of this story is an Inquisitor. If you don't know what that means, he's basically like the head army guy. Taran's my favorite type of villain. I don't know if I like him so much because he reminds me of Warner, which he really does, but he was like, I don't even know if I want to tell you because you just have to see it for yourself, but he is definitely, if I had to make a video about my favorite villains, he would make that list. He's so... what's the word I'm even looking for? I can't even... Ugh. I know this is a trilogy and I cannot wait to see him transform in the next books, and honestly every scene he was in, there are some times that I had to... You know what, I'll just mention this now. This was a book that I had to put down very often because I would just start like having a lot of feels, and even right now I'm like, oh my god. Most scenes with Taran in them, I had to stop and give myself a couple of minutes to work my thoughts out, and then I had to go back to it. Oh, he's so good. He broke my heart. Everyone was like, Whitney, he's so nasty, you'll hate him. Wrongo. Bae. A slight problem I had throughout the development of this book was that Adelina has a special inclination to feel really passionate. It's part of her character and her powers. So, one of my main problems that resulted, maybe of this, maybe it's just in her character, she's extremely over-emotional, and I don't mean like she would overreact to things, but like, specifically the romance aspect of this book is whenever they would even be in the same room or near each other, she would be like, my heart is about to explode out of my face, we're touching. But it's definitely really just rubbed me the wrong way after a while. They would just speak to each other and she would just have an epiphany like, oh my gosh, she's the best person I've ever met in my life, I'm so tingly, I'm so warm, and I'm like, stop. For the last 100 pages of this book, I just could not put it down. It's a great book. If you're looking for something that's fantasy that you think you'd like, then I would definitely recommend this one. That's all I have for this review. I literally have Nutella sitting on my bed right there, ready for me, because I just finished this, and... why do you hurt me? If you've read this and you can tell I'm trying to hold back all the emotions, then we're on the same level. Anyway, I keep saying anyway and trying to end this. I guess I'll do it officially. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time with more reviews. Goodbye, everyone!